In the heart of the bustling celestial bazaar, a vibrant market filled with traders from countless worlds, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement, and the smell of exotic foods wafted through the air. Humans had always been the underdogs in the galaxy, a species viewed as rough around the edges and lacking the refinement of their alien counterparts. Yet today was different. Today, they had come to prove themselves. The Grand Prix was the ultimate test, a chance to show what they were made of, and the humans were determined to seize this moment. As the sun set, casting a golden hue over the bazaar, a small crowd gathered around the docking area, where the human vessel, the Starbreaker, rested, a weathered ship with peeling paint and a mismatched array of components. It looked out of place among the sleek and polished ships of the alien racers. A group of elite alien pilots stood nearby, laughing and pointing at the humans in the Starbreaker. Their laughter echoed through the docking bay as they exchanged taunts and jibes about the human ship being a relic from a bygone era. A young pilot named Jake glanced at his crew, his friends who had come together from different corners of Earth, each with their own stories of struggle and triumph. They were a ragtag bunch bound by their shared dream of proving that humanity was more than just a curiosity in the galaxy. Jake felt a surge of determination as he listened to the aliens mock them. He turned to his crew with fire in his eyes and said, "We are not here to be a joke. We are here to show them what we can do." His words ignited a spark within the crew. The engineer Lisa adjusted her glasses and began tweaking the ship's systems, making last-minute improvements. The navigator Sam studied the race course, meticulously plotting every twist and turn, while the pilot Emily practiced their maneuvers with precision. They all understood that this race was about more than just speed. It was about ingenuity and teamwork. As night fell, the bazaar transformed into a dazzling spectacle of lights and colors. The human crew gathered for their final strategy meeting in the cramped cockpit of the Starbreaker. The ship was filled with an eclectic mix of tools and gadgets, the result of countless hours spent modifying and upgrading it. They reviewed their plan to outmaneuver the competition, using their ship's unique capabilities to gain the upper hand against the aliens. "Tomorrow we show them what humanity is made of," Jake declared, his voice resolute. "The aliens might have their advanced technology, but we have something they don't. We have heart, we have grit, we have each other." The crew nodded in agreement. Their camaraderie fueled their confidence as they envisioned themselves crossing the finish line, leaving the alien pilots in their wake. The Starbreaker may have looked unassuming, but it was a testament to human creativity and resilience. The night deepened, and the stars twinkled brightly overhead, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the challenges that lay ahead. As dawn broke, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation. The racers lined up at the starting point, each ship a reflection of its pilot's pride and ambition. The human crew took their places in the Starbreaker, the weight of expectation resting heavily on their shoulders. They could feel the eyes of the crowd on them, especially the alien pilots who still wore smug expressions. But deep down, the humans knew they were ready. They were not just racing for victory, they were racing for respect. And as the countdown began, their hearts raced with adrenaline and determination. They were about to embark on a journey that would change everything. The Starbreaker would rise from the shadows and prove that humanity was far from unskilled. As the countdown reached its final moments, the tension in the cockpit of the Starbreaker was palpable. Jake gripped the controls, his heart pounding in sync with the beeping of the countdown timer. Beside him, Lisa focused intently on the ship's systems, ensuring everything was in perfect order. Sam scanned the surrounding ships, ready to call out any sudden moves, while Emily steadied her breathing, preparing for the race of their lives. 3, 2, 1, the starting signal blared through the air, and the racers surged forward, engines roaring. The Starbreaker jolted ahead, surprising everyone with its sudden burst of speed. The alien pilots gasped as Jake expertly maneuvered the ship, weaving through the chaotic throng of competitors. The Starbreaker may have looked battered, but it was a hidden gem of human ingenuity, ready to showcase its true potential. As they entered the first curve of the race course, the alien pilots tried to push their advantage, unleashing a barrage of advanced maneuvers and dazzling displays of technology. Yet the humans had anticipated this. Jake steered the ship into a narrow gap between two larger vessels, deftly avoiding collisions. and leaving the alien pilots scrambling in disbelief. They had underestimated the humans' resourcefulness and determination. The race unfolded with breathtaking intensity as the human crew navigated through the twisting course. Filled with perilous obstacles and treacherous turns, they encountered sudden space debris and gravitational anomalies that would have spelled doom for any unprepared ship. Yet with each challenge the crew's bond deepened. They communicated with seamless precision, anticipating each other's moves and pushing the Starbreaker to its limits. Midway through the race, they found themselves neck and neck with an alien pilot named Zarnath. Known for his ruthless tactics, he shot a condescending glance at the humans and accelerated, aiming to push them out of the way. Jake gritted his teeth. He wouldn't let them intimidate him. Lisa tapped into the ship's auxiliary systems, activating a hidden feature. They had developed a burst of speed that would give them the edge they needed. With a flick of a switch, the Starbreaker surged ahead, catching Zarnath off guard. He veered to avoid a collision, but it was too late. The Starbreaker shot forward, leaving Zarnath sputtering in frustration. The crowd erupted into cheers as the humans pulled ahead. Their confidence soared, and they could hear the disbelief in the whispers of the alien spectators. The tide was beginning to turn, but Jake knew they couldn't let their guard down, not when the race was far from over. As they approached the final stretch, the unexpected happened. A massive ship loomed ahead. The pirates had entered the race field. Their sinister craft was armed to the teeth, and they wasted no time in targeting the racers. Their presence transformed the atmosphere from one of competition to one of terror. Jake's heart raced as he quickly assessed the situation. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but retreating was not an option. The crew rallied together, instincts kicking in as they devised a plan on the fly. "We can't let them take us down," Emily shouted. "We need to protect the others and ourselves." Jake nodded and initiated a hasty maneuver, steering the Starbreaker into a nearby asteroid field. They sought cover among the debris, using their surroundings to their advantage. They would fight back, but it would require all their skills and unity to outsmart the pirates who were closing in with deadly intent. In that moment of crisis, the crew transformed their fear into resolve. They were not just racing for a trophy anymore. They were racing for survival and for the honor of their species, united against a common enemy, ready to prove that humanity could rise to any challenge. As the Starbreaker darted into the chaotic asteroid field, Jake's pulse quickened. The ship rattled as it narrowly avoided collision with a massive rock. Lisa's fingers flew over the controls, adjusting the shields and rerouting power to vital systems. Sam called out coordinates, directing Jake through the narrow gaps between the asteroids. The pirates pursued them relentlessly, their ship a monstrous behemoth that cut through the debris with ease. But the humans had something the pirates lacked: creativity and determination. They wove through the field, using every trick they had devised during their countless hours of practice. Jake glanced at the radar. It was flooded with red blips, indicating the pirate ships closing in on their position. "We need to draw them in closer," he said, a plan forming in his mind. "Let's set a trap." Lisa's eyes sparkled with excitement and understanding. "Right. We can use the asteroids as cover and lure them into a tight spot." Emily nodded fiercely. "I can create a diversion with the ship's retro thrusters. If I time it right, they won't see it coming." With the plan in place, they readied themselves. Jake veered the Starbreaker toward a cluster of larger asteroids, hoping to draw the pirates in. They could see the dark shapes of the pirate ships looming behind them, gaining ground as the humans skillfully navigated the treacherous terrain. As they entered the heart of the asteroid field, Jake turned on the ship's thrusters, momentarily slowing their speed. The pirate ships charged in, thinking they had the advantage, only to find themselves surrounded by towering rocks and debris. Now, Emily shouted, activating the retro thrusters. A brilliant flash of light erupted from the back of the Starbreaker, illuminating the darkness of space. The sudden burst sent the ship rocketing forward, and the pirates were momentarily blinded. Jake seized the opportunity. "Let's move now." They shot through the gap with astonishing speed, while the pirates were left disoriented and confused. The crew cheered as they heard the sounds of colliding ships and shouts of frustration from behind them. The humans had turned the tables, and it felt exhilarating. But there was no time to celebrate. The pirates quickly regained their composure and regrouped angrily, sending out a new wave of fighters to hunt them down. Jake could see the numbers on his radar increasing as more pirate ships closed in. "Keep an eye on our flanks," Sam shouted. "We can't let them surround us." Lisa monitored the ship's systems, urgently adjusting shields and weapons as she prepared for the next confrontation. With adrenaline pumping through their veins, the crew knew they were in for a fight. Jake focused on maintaining control of the Starbreaker as he plotted their next moves. They were still outnumbered, but their unity and ingenuity had already proven powerful. He could see a narrow corridor leading out of the asteroid field and decided it was their best chance. "Hang on, everyone," he yelled as he steered the ship toward the exit. The Starbreaker accelerated with a burst of speed, but the pirate ships were hot on their tail, firing at will. The ship shook as blaster fire ricocheted off their shields. "We can't let them take us down," Lisa shouted, frantically adjusting the shield frequencies to absorb the incoming fire. The crew worked in perfect harmony, navigating the chaos with every ounce of their strength and skill. Just as they were about to breach the exit, Jake glanced back and saw Zarnath, the alien pilot who had mocked them earlier, now piloting a pirate ship and closing in. In that moment, a wave of defiance surged through Jake. They had come too far to back down. They were not just fighting for their survival, but for the pride of humanity. With a fierce determination, he pulled the Starbreaker into a daring roll, evading another blast from Zarnath's ship. The human crew prepared for what lay ahead, ready to face the pirates with everything they had. They would show the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated, and that their spirit could overcome any challenge. As the Starbreaker barreled toward the exit of the asteroid field, Jake felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through him. The blaring alarms and the hum of the ship's systems became a backdrop to the focused chaos around him. Zarnath's pirate ship was relentless, hot on their tail, and the tension was palpable in the cockpit. Jake glanced at the radar. The number of red blips was overwhelming, but he knew they couldn't let fear take hold. He called out to his crew, "We're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for every human who's ever been looked down upon. Let's show them what we can do." With renewed determination, Lisa nodded vigorously. Her fingers danced over the controls, recalibrating the ship's weapon systems. While Sam monitored their trajectory, he called out, "A little to the left, Jake, and then we'll have a clear shot." As they exited the asteroid field, a vast expanse of open space lay before them, illuminated by distant stars and the glowing remnants of the race course. The pirate ships poured out behind them like a swarm of angry hornets, and the humans had only moments to prepare for the impending onslaught. Emily took a deep breath. "Ready for this," she said. "We have to catch them off guard." Jake nodded and steered the Starbreaker into a wide arc, positioning them for a surprise attack. As the pirate ships spread out to surround them, he shouted, "Now, Lisa, fire at their lead ship." With a press of a button, Lisa unleashed a volley of energy blasts. The bolts streaked through space, striking the lead pirate ship and causing it to spin wildly as sparks erupted from its hull. The element of surprise worked, and the pirates were momentarily stunned by the ferocity of the human response. "We did it," Sam exclaimed, "but there's more coming." Jake gritted his teeth. "We can't let up now. They'll regroup fast." The Starbreaker rocketed into the fray, dodging incoming fire as they engaged the pirate fleet. The humans fought with a blend of tenacity and creativity, employing unconventional tactics that left the pirates disoriented. The ship twisted and turned, executing daring maneuvers that no one had expected from a vessel considered inferior. As the battle raged on, Emily called out, "We need to disable their ship's engines. If we can slow them down, we'll have a better chance." "Good idea," Jake replied. "Let's go for it." They focused their fire on the engines of the nearest pirate ship. The blast struck true, and the ship erupted in a shower of sparks and debris. It slowed down dramatically, its hull damaged and smoking. The crew cheered, but they knew it was only the beginning. Zarnath, furious and frustrated, shouted commands to his remaining forces, urging them to overwhelm the humans. He was determined to take down the Starbreaker and prove that his kind was superior. But the human crew remained undeterred. With each successful hit, their confidence soared. The once downtrodden misfits were now fighting like seasoned veterans, showcasing their teamwork and creativity. In the thick of battle, Jake spotted an opening and made a split-second decision. He maneuvered the Starbreaker toward the center of the pirate formation. In a bold move, they activated the ship's cloaking device, disappearing from sight for a crucial moment. The pirates, confused and disoriented, began firing in all directions, looking for the elusive human ship. Meanwhile, the crew quickly recalibrated their systems for a surprise counterattack. Jake grinned. "This is our chance. When we reappear, let's hit them hard." With bated breath, the crew prepared themselves. The seconds felt like an eternity as they waited for the perfect moment. As the pirates continued their frantic search, the Starbreaker reemerged with a burst of energy. "Now," he shouted, and they unleashed everything they had. The pirates were caught completely off guard. The humans fought with a ferocity born of desperation and determination. The tide of battle shifted as the humans proved that they were a force to be reckoned with in the vastness of space. The galaxy would soon learn that the humans were no longer underestimated. They were rising to claim their place among the stars. As the Starbreaker surged forward, unleashing a barrage of firepower, the pirates scrambled to regain their footing. Jake felt a rush of exhilaration. He had never imagined that he and his crew could turn the tide of battle in such a spectacular fashion. The cockpit was alive with the sounds of blaring alarms and the exhilarated shouts of his crew. "Keep the pressure on," Lisa commanded, firing another volley that struck a pirate ship dead center. The vessel erupted in flames, sending debris spiraling into space. The crew's confidence soared with each successful hit as they learned to trust one another's instincts in the heat of combat. In the chaos, Zarnath's furious voice cut through the din, urging his remaining ships to regroup and retaliate. He was determined to show these humans their place, and Jake could see the anger and desperation building in the pirate leader's eyes. "We need to find a way to separate him from his fleet," Jake shouted. "He's the key to ending this fight." Sam's eyes lit up with an idea. "We could lure him into a trap. If we can outmaneuver him, we can isolate him from the others." "Great idea," Jake replied. "We need to create a distraction, something that will draw him in and leave him vulnerable." The crew quickly formulated their plan. As the battle continued to rage around them, they began to move in a wide circle, pulling the attention of Zarnath's ships while preparing to use the surrounding debris to their advantage. Jake piloted the Starbreaker with precision, weaving in and out of the asteroids as they drew closer to Zarnath. The pirate captain raged at his crew to focus on the human ship. He was convinced that the Starbreaker was nothing but a lucky fluke, and he was determined to crush that belief. "Now," Emily said, her voice steady, ready to activate the decoys. Jake nodded. His heart raced as they entered the next phase of their plan. With a flick of a switch, Lisa released the ship's decoy drones, which flared to life and began darting around the battlefield, emitting signals designed to confuse the pirates. The drones created a chaotic dance of lights and sounds, drawing attention away from the Starbreaker. Jake watched as Zarnath's ship broke off from the others, its aggressive pursuit of the decoys revealing the pirate captain's single-minded determination. It was working. Zarnath was taking the bait. "Now," Jake shouted, "we go for it." They turned sharply, heading directly toward the path of the pirate ship. Just as Zarnath realized he had been lured into a trap, the pirate's vessel charged forward, intent on destroying the Starbreaker, but the humans were ready for him. At the last moment, Jake initiated a steep climb, taking the ship just above Zarnath's trajectory. They executed a rapid descent behind him, unleashing a concentrated volley of firepower that struck the pirates' engines. The Starbreaker shook from the force of the blast, but they had hit their target. Zarnath's ship spun out of control, flames erupting from its damaged hull. The crew erupted in cheers as they witnessed the downfall of the pirate captain, who had once laughed at their skills. But the battle was not over. Zarnath's remaining ships began to regroup, furious and desperate to avenge their fallen leader. The humans still faced overwhelming odds, but now they felt emboldened, fueled by their recent victory. "Keep fighting," Sam urged. "We can't let them close in." Jake nodded. They had proven themselves against Zarnath, But now they needed to finish what they started. The Starbreaker had transformed from a vessel of mockery to one of resilience and power. As the remaining pirate ships encircled them, Jake steeled himself for the fight ahead. He knew the crew was more than capable of facing any challenge together. They were no longer misfits, they were a unified force ready to reclaim their place among the stars. "Let's show them that humanity is a force to be reckoned with," Jake declared, and with that the crew prepared for the final confrontation, ready to take on the remnants of the pirate fleet and cement their legacy in the galaxy. As the remnants of Xarnath's pirate fleet regrouped, Jake felt a mix of exhilaration and determination surging through him. They had come so far and defeated a formidable enemy, but now they faced the challenge of finishing the battle against multiple ships that were still eager to avenge their fallen captain. Jake glanced at the radar. His heart sank at the sight of the clustered red blips indicating the remaining pirate ships encircling them. They were outnumbered, but the crew's confidence was a palpable force in the cockpit. "We can do this," Jake said, trying to rally the spirits of his crew. "Let's use everything we've learned and make it count." Lisa was already working feverishly at her station, recalibrating the ship systems. She had a look of fierce determination on her face. "We can exploit their formation. If we can draw them into a tight group, I can hit them with the enhanced EMP blast we modified last week. It'll disable their ships long enough for us to escape." Sam nodded enthusiastically. "That could work. If we can create enough chaos, it might buy us the time we need to break free." Emily's fingers danced over the controls. "Let's get them to chase us into the asteroid field again. If we use that environment to our advantage, we can catch them off guard like before." With a sense of purpose, Jake turned the Starbreaker around and initiated a sharp maneuver toward the edge of the battlefield. They needed to create a distraction that would force the pirates to follow them into a more confined area where their numbers wouldn't matter as much. As they sped toward the asteroid field, Jake's pulse raced. He could feel the weight of his crew's hopes resting on his shoulders, and he knew he had to navigate this with precision. The pirates took the bait, surging forward in pursuit, their ships eager to exact revenge for Xarnath's defeat. Now Lisa shouted, "Activate the decoys again. We need to confuse them." Jake engaged the decoys, once more sending them out into the path of the pursuing pirates. The brightly colored drones emitted a barrage of signals and lights, creating a chaotic spectacle that momentarily blinded the pirates. They began firing wildly at the decoys, giving the Starbreaker the precious seconds it needed to slip into the shelter of the asteroids. As they entered the rocky labyrinth, Jake expertly maneuvered the ship, weaving through the tight spaces and avoiding collisions. The crew held their breath in anticipation, waiting for the right moment to execute their plan. Once they were deep within the asteroid field, Jake activated the ship's cloaking device. Once more, the Starbreaker vanished from sight, the pirates unable to track them in the tumultuous environment. They could hear the distant sounds of the pirate ships colliding with asteroids in their frenzy to locate their quarry. "Now," Lisa said, her voice low, "we wait until they're disoriented. Then we hit them with the EMP blast." Jake watched the radar, monitoring the positions of the pirates. They were scattered and confused, which was exactly what he had hoped for. When the moment was right, he signaled Lisa. She initiated the EMP blast, sending a pulse of energy rippling through the area. The result was immediate. Several pirate ships lost power and began to drift aimlessly, their crews scrambling to regain control. The Starbreaker was hidden just beyond the chaos, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. The remaining pirate ships reeled in shock as their comrades lost power and control in an instant. The humans could see the confusion on their enemies' faces. It was their chance. Now, he shouted as he engaged the ship's engines, and the Starbreaker burst forward, emerging from the cover of the asteroids. They launched a barrage of firepower aimed at the disabled ships, taking advantage of the chaos. The humans fought with a fierce determination. Each shot fired a testament to their newfound strength. The cockpit erupted in cheers as the crew saw the damage they were inflicting. The pirates were disoriented, and now the tide had turned against them. Jake felt a rush of triumph coursing through him. They had transformed from the underdogs into a powerful force. He knew that together they would not only survive, but thrive in this battle for their place among the stars. and he couldn't wait to see where their journey would take them next. The Starbreaker surged through the asteroid field, weaving expertly as the crew unleashed another volley of firepower on the disoriented pirate ships. Jake felt the adrenaline coursing through him, amplifying his focus as he directed the ship toward the nearest enemy craft, now drifting aimlessly in the wake of the EMP blast. "Fire at will," he shouted, and Lisa's hands flew across the controls, launching a barrage of energy blasts that struck the pirate ship with pinpoint accuracy. The explosions lit up the darkness of space, illuminating the chaos around them, and sending debris spiraling into the void. Cheers erupted in the cockpit, but Jake quickly reminded them that the battle was far from over. "We can't get complacent," he said. "We still have more ships to deal with, and Zarnath's faction will regroup quickly." Sam peered at the radar, noting the remaining pirate vessels now attempting to regain their bearings. "They're trying to reform their formation. Jake, we should split them up again before they can coordinate an attack." "Good call," Jake replied, his mind racing with ideas. He flicked the ship's thrusters, propelling the Starbreaker toward the edge of the asteroid field once more. As they neared the perimeter, he turned back toward the pirates, challenging them to pursue. "Let's give them a little taste of their own medicine," Jake said, grinning. "Let's use the asteroids as cover and set up a surprise attack." As expected, the pirates took the bait. Their ships surged forward, eager to reclaim their pride and destroy the human vessel. They barreled into the asteroid field with reckless abandon, and Jake could almost hear the taunts Zarnath had thrown at them echoing in his mind. "Now," Lisa shouted, activating the ship's stealth mode, "they won't see us coming." Jake expertly navigated the Starbreaker through the rocky terrain, positioning the ship behind a massive asteroid while the pirates charged past, oblivious to their presence. The crew held their breath, hearts racing as they prepared for the imminent confrontation. When the time was right, Jake whispered, "Now." He pulled the ship out from behind the asteroid and unleashed everything they had on the closest pirate vessel, catching it completely off guard. The crew's cheers filled the cockpit as they saw the ship erupt in flames, the remnants of Zarnath's crew scrambling in confusion. But it wasn't just the initial attack that had the crew on edge. They needed to capitalize on their momentum. "Keep moving," Jake ordered. "We need to maintain the pressure." They darted from one hiding spot to another, ambushing the remaining pirates with calculated strikes, each maneuver showcasing their newfound confidence and teamwork. The once timid misfits had transformed into a force of reckoning, showing the galaxy the tenacity of humanity in the face of overwhelming odds. With each pirate ship they disabled, the thrill of victory fueled their resolve. It felt as though they were carving out their place in the stars, their laughter and shouts echoing in the cockpit as they worked together seamlessly. They were no longer just a band of outcasts. They were a team, a family united by their shared struggle. Just as the last pirate ship fell into disarray, a shiver ran down Jake's spine as he noticed a dark shadow approaching on the radar. Zarnath's flagship had re-entered the fray, and it was clear the pirate captain was furious. "He must have had some backup systems," Jake said quickly. "We need to prepare for a fight." Lisa's fingers moved swiftly across the controls, recharging the ship's shields and weapon systems. "Everyone get ready, this is it." As Zarnath's flagship bore down on them, Jake took a deep breath and steeled himself for the battle ahead. This was the moment they would truly cement their legacy in the galaxy. The crew shared a look of determination as they braced themselves for the confrontation with the infamous pirate captain, ready to fight for their survival and prove once and for all that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. As Zarnath's flagship approached, a massive silhouette against the backdrop of stars, Jake felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. This was the defining battle, not just for their survival, but for their place in the galaxy. The crew of the Starbreaker exchanged resolute glances, their camaraderie palpable in the cockpit. Jake gripped the controls, his heart pounding in his chest as he initiated the ship's systems for a final showdown. Lisa, her focus unwavering, monitored the energy levels while Sam prepared the targeting systems. Emily adjusted their flight path, preparing to utilize every maneuver they had practiced. "Here he comes," Jake said. His voice steady. "Zarnath won't go down without a fight." The pirate captain's ship bore down on them, its massive cannon swiveling into position as Zarnath shouted commands to his crew. The darkness of space was pierced by blaster fire as the flagship unleashed a barrage of shots aimed directly at the Starbreaker. Jake banked sharply to the left, narrowly avoiding the blasts as they streaked past. "Return fire," Lisa shouted, and the crew responded in unison, unleashing a volley of energy blasts that collided with Zarnath's flagship. Sparks erupted, but the massive ship was still standing, its hull resistant to the punishment they dished out. "We need to find a weak point," Sam urged, scanning the radar. "We can't let him regroup." Jake's mind raced. He remembered the schematics they had studied during their preparations. There was one vulnerable spot on Zarnath's flagship, a section of its engines that had been poorly reinforced. "We can hit the engine compartment, but we need to get close." As they executed a series of evasive maneuvers, Jake shouted, "All right, everyone, hold on, we're going in." He propelled the Starbreaker forward with fierce determination, navigating through the barrage of fire Zarnath's crew was throwing at them. The ship rocked violently as they were hit, but the crew was relentless. They pressed on their unity and courage, fueling them. "Now," Jake shouted as they neared the flagship's vulnerable spot. He aimed the ship directly at the target, and with a fierce blast of energy they unleashed their full power. The strike hit true, and the flagship shuddered violently as smoke billowed from its engines. The crew erupted into cheers, but there was no time to celebrate. Zarnath was still at the helm, furious and desperate. He ordered his remaining ships to focus fire on the Starbreaker. "We're not out of this yet," Emily warned. Jake tightened his grip on the controls. It was time for one final maneuver. He initiated a barrel roll, dodging incoming fire as he executed a daring flip that brought them back around to face Zarnath head-on. "This is it," he declared with conviction. "Let's end this." As they aligned their sights on Zarnath's flagship, once more he could see the pirate captain's fury reflected in his eyes. Through the viewfinder, Jake felt a surge of confidence. They had come too far to turn back now. "Fire," he commanded, and the Starbreaker unleashed its energy blast with a ferocity that resonated through the cockpit. The beam struck the flagship's engines with devastating force, igniting a massive explosion that lit up the dark expanse of space. Zarnath's ship spiraled out of control, caught in the fiery aftermath, and as the crew of the Starbreaker watched the wreckage of the once feared pirate flagship, they couldn't help but feel a rush of triumph. "We did it!" Sam shouted, disbelief mingling with joy as the reality of their victory washed over them. Jake smiled, his heart swelling with pride for his crew. They had fought against the odds and emerged victorious. They had proven themselves not just to the galaxy, but to each other. They were no longer underestimated. They were pioneers ready to forge their path among the stars. As they drifted through the remnants of the battlefield, a newfound sense of purpose filled the cockpit. The crew knew their journey was just beginning. Together, they would explore the vastness of space, carve out their legacy, and show the galaxy that humanity was a force to be reckoned with, ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead.